Hello and welcome to this video on the Bodhicaryavatara, chapter 7, verse 3. As before, I will read the verse out slowly, twice in Sanskrit, and we will then analyze it in detail. Avyapara sukhaswada nidra pashraya trishnaya samsara dukkhanudvegad alasyam upajayate. Avyapara sukhaswada nidrapashraya trishnaya samsara dukkhanudvegad alasyam upajayate. The subject of the entire sentence is alasyam in the second pada of the second line. Alasyam meaning sloth or laziness. Upajayate arises. So alasyam upajayate. Sloth comes or sloth arises. And then from what? From a combination of things. Look now to the first line. The first line is one long compound. Avyapara sukhaswada nidra apashraya trishnaya. The trishna is thirst, meaning clinging. It's actually cognate with our English word thirst. They're from the same origin as the Sanskrit trishna and the Pali tanha. Where something arises from something else or arises by reason of something else, the thing by reason of which it arises can be expressed either in the instrumental or in the ablative. And in this verse, we see it being done in both ways. Trishna, at the end of the first line, feminine noun, ending in long a, instrumental trishnaya. So here there's the instrumental, more like by reason of. And we also see the ablative, if you see in the second line, samsara dukkhanudvegad, that's anudvegat without the santi, but the at becomes the ad because it's followed by a vowel. So we have both the instrumental and the ablative here in the same verse. Now this first verse the entire first line consists of a long compound, as I said, but it can be analyzed in more than one way. In fact, I've discovered two ways it can be analyzed. There may be a third, but we needn't bother whether there is or isn't. The meaning is clear enough. If you look at the trishnaya at the end, through thirst, thirst or clinging for what? To what? The trishnaya could govern all of the previous words. That's through thirst for idleness, enjoyment of pleasure, sleep, and leaning on others, or potentially, and maybe more likely, it's not hard and fast. It might apply only to the immediately preceding element. That's the apashraya. That would mean that sloth, the alasyam upajayate, laziness, sloth, arises from avyapara, comma, sukhaswada, that's the relishing pleasures, comma, nidra, sleep, comma, and then apashraya trishnaya, by thirst for or a clinging towards leaning on others. So either way of resolving this compound is linguistically completely accurate. Note that because it's made into one long dvandva compound, that's a compound where you just get a whole lot of words linked together without cha. Of course, the Trishnaya isn't part of the dvandva compound. All the preceding ones are just a whole series of nouns linked together in the same syntactical relationship to the rest of the sentence. Only the last noun, in any kind of compound, only the last noun will decline. It's only the last noun, the ending will change depending on the syntax. That's why all of the other nouns in this first line, because it's a compound, they're all there in their stem form. And only the last one, Trishnaya, declines. And for the next line, Sansara Dukhanudvegad. So the Anudvega, the Udvega is getting stirred to action, and Anudvega, not getting stirred to action, is it's translated here as apathy, which is a good translation. So Anudvegad, ablative from Anudvega, Anudvegat from apathy, apathy towards what? Apathy towards dukkha. So dukkha, apathy. So what kind of dukkha? Samsara dukkha. So sansara dukkha anudvega, which by Sandhi becomes sansara dukkhanudvega, is sansara, suffering, apathy. So from apathy towards the sufferings of sansara. So he's saying here that alishyam upajayate, that sloth arises, is engendered by, is caused by, springs from. All of these are perfectly valid interpretations. Well, they basically mean the same. If you look at the Sanskrit, upajayate, it is born up, it arises. So sloth arises through avyapara. Let's interpret this as putting Trishna as going only with the last element of the compound, which is apashreya Trishnaya. So alisum upajayate, through thirst for, through avyapara, which is just not getting on with things, having nothing to do, being idle. Sukha aswada, sukha here just meaning pleasure, not real happiness, just pleasure here. Sukha aswada, pleasure relishing, relishing pleasures. Nidra, sleep, cognate without the dra, actually cognate without drowsy, and dream, dormire in Latin, dormitory in English, the dra, root to sleep. And apashreya trishna, the thirst for relying on other people, just let somebody else do all the work, this craving towards getting rid of your work and making somebody else do the hard work. That's the first lot of things that it arises from, and then the second one in the second line, sansara dukkhanudvegad, through apathy or not getting aroused, and udvega, by sansara dukkha, by the pains, the dukkha, the suffering of sansara. So I look now at the individual words. Vyapara is from the root. Let me now just bring the text here. So I'll share the screen with you. There we are. Here we are. By the way, in case you're wearing this 2 here, you say into the cursor is, that's simply a little indication. It's from in the Monier-Williams dictionary. There's more than one root, and this is number 2. That there is another one that is in the. That's just an indication that there is another root with another meaning. So to be busy or active. Some roots are found only in combination with verbal prefixes. This is one of them. The only time that root is used is with the verbal prefix a, apri, to get busy with, or with a double verbal prefix vi, a, which becomes via by sandhi. So, and the verbal noun vyapara. So vyapara is just, you know, busyness in the ordinary sense, just getting on with things, having things to do, being occupied. So the avyapara, the non-being busy, is just a word meaning sitting around, not doing anything, not getting on with anything, non-being busy. So avyapara. Sukhaswada. Sukha aswada by sandhi, sukhaswada. Sukha, we all know, derived from sukha, the prefix su, generally meaning good or well or lovely, desirable, su, and ka, meaning space originally. So sukha, good space. It has been interpreted to mean, and the same goes to dukkha, bad space. It has been interpreted to mean the ka as the hollow or the socket of a wheel. And so the axle fits into the socket. And if it fits badly, it'll be jerky and bumpy and won't go around well. But if you know that's dukkha, sukha is where it fits well and turns smoothly. And that interpretation has been held by many, including myself, for a long time. The alternative interpretation I'm now favouring much more. The other interpretation of ka, basically the same meaning as a space. Sukha being in a good place, in a good space, and dukkha being in a bad place, a bad space. I can't say the other interpretation is wrong. Hold them both in your minds. I tend to favour the good space and the bad space in interpretation. So aswada, pleasure, enjoyment. The aswada is taking relish in something. The word is either swad or swad. It's one of these ones that can be short or long. The idea, the meaning of that is to taste good and then to enjoy. And that could be further, although it's a root, it could be further resolved by old etymologies. Su, the prefix su, meaning good, and ad, cognate with our word eat, Latin edere, good to eat. Su ad, good eat. A pretty basic experience of primitive man, something sweet being good to eat. And it is highly likely, I'm not sure if it's been actually proved yet, but it's highly likely that this swad is exactly cognate with our word sweet, su eat. So here we have it, swad, su eat, su ad, sweet, though we have a reflection from the 3,000 years ago in India to a word that we're using now. So, and the aswada, and then by extension from sweet, it means to enjoy something or to relish it, particularly in taste and other pleasures of the senses, especially taste. The prefix a would mean like on to going towards it, so being attracted to it, to relish it. So the aswada, I relish that, towards it. And sukhaswada would then mean being drawn towards pleasures so as to relish them, sukhaswada. Nidra, I've mentioned, that is sleep. The dra, root, dream, dormitory, drowsy, and so on. In the Slavonic languages, we have dremat, is to drowse off. Apashreya, leaning on. The root shri. I'm just going to share my screen now with my iPad. There we are. This is another interesting one where we see these lovely unexpected connections between the old roots and modern English. Very frequently you will find, and all my Pali students will have heard me going on about this ad nauseam, that very often where you have the sh sound in Sanskrit, this is cognate with words in Greek, Latin, and in the Germanic languages with a k sound. One very good example is the root nash, which is cognate with the Latin root noc, as in nocere, to harm, noxious, harmful, innocent, innocens, somebody who has not done anything wrong. If you're innocent, you are non-harming. You haven't done anything wrong. The root and ashwa is another one. You see, ashwa. In Latin, we have equus, meaning a horse, as in equestrian, equine, ashwa, equus. This root shri means to lie down. And here we are. The rutila is a common kli. To leaning over, incline. When you lean right down, you lie down. You lie down on a bed. What do you have? And a clinic is a place for beds. That's three in the kli. So we have the verbal noun shraya, Sri Shraya. Ashraya, in this are towards on, and apa is away from. Apa ashraya, which by santi, these two r's coalesce, so it becomes a long a. So apashraya means actually leaning away from. The idea is leaning away from what you should be leaning towards, getting into and doing. And the idea is leaning back on others. So it's the apashraya trishnaya, this desire, this thirst, trishna, craving. To leave everything to others, to lean on others. In fact, we talk about leaning on other people, sometimes in a pejorative way in English, meaning not getting on with it yourself, being lazy, leaning on others. That's exactly this same imagery in the Bodhicaryavatara. And in the next line, samsara dukkhanudvegad, sri, root sri, just means to proceed, to go. Samsri, and the sum, prefix sum, has a variety of meanings. It's cognate actually with the con or co. And it often has the meaning of completing something or completing a series of things. So samsri, verbal noun, samsara, it means that gives the idea of just a series going round and round and round, completing a series of circles. Not just sara is proceeding, samsara means going on and round, and a series of complete a circle, complete another circle, complete another circle. That's the etymological linguistic meaning behind samsara. Of course, it has its specialized meaning in Buddhism, but that's the underlying linguistic meaning of it, like round and round and round, a series of completed round and round and round. Udvega, root vij, and as we so often see, you get the j and g pair within words from the same root. And as I've said to many of you before, we see that same phenomenon in English. where you have speak and speech, the ch, and break, verb, but pronounced differently, vowel pronounced differently, breach. But it's that same idea, the speak, break, speech, breach. Sanskrit does it the other way around. So vij, root vij, and the verbal noun is vega, the same root. We also see it from the root yuj, from which we get yoga. Cognate with junction and joins is uniting or joining, meaning of yoga. So vega, this root vij, it means, the original meaning is to move quickly or to dart around, and it's a lively movement. And to so udvij, to dart up, udvij. Ud cognate with our English out, but often have the meaning of up. Some utpada, the pratitya, some utpada, conditioned co-arising, some utpada, co-upcoming, arising. So udvij, the idea of being roused up to action. And of course the verbal noun, vijvega, udvij, udvega. And udvega, meaning here just being roused up, but here in a more sense of urgency, more common, if you are stating it in a positive way, is samvega, with our prefix samvega. And samvega, same in Pali, it's the word used meaning a sense of urgency. Urgency. You haven't got time to loll about and laze about. There's work to be done. You're going to die. Get on with it. So anudvega is non-getting aroused, just lying about not getting, I've got to do something. And so by extension, it's translated in the translation we're looking at here as apathy. I just, yes, so what? I'm not going to get excited about it. Is that apathy, the anudvega. Sansara dukkha anudvega, the sansara pain apathy, so apathy towards the sufferings of sansara. Incidentally, this word, vij, we have it in our English word wick. In older English, your wick was a place where you lived. If you're thinking of the wick of the candle, yeah, it's that too, because the wick, the live bit, it's the live part of the candle. It's the wick of the candle. I don't know whether it's still used in Yorkshire. There's an old Yorkshire dialect expression of somebody, look wick about it. Be quick, get on with it, look alive, be wick about it, get moving. Also cognate with the word quick. So the quick movement. So we have the quick meaning speedy, but we have our old expression, the quick and the dead. We have that in the King James Version of the Bible. The quick and the dead, meaning the live and the dead. And if you touch somebody to the quick, that means like an open wound where you aren't just touching the skin, but you're touching the quick, the living flesh inside the open wound. That's the meaning of touching somebody to the quick, where it really hurts. So these, wick and quick in the senses of life, lively, alive, are directly descended from the Proto-Indo-European of this root vij and vega, meaning quick movement, lively, alive. So I think that pretty much winds up what I've got to say for the moment on this verse. So what I'll do is to read it through again slowly twice, and as before, see if you can just, even without reading it, just follow me as I speak it, and just try to hear the meaning coming into you as I recite it in Sanskrit. I'll do that slowly twice. Avyapara sukhaswada nidrapashraya trishnaya samsara dukkhanudvega dalasyam upajayate. Avyapara sukhaswada nidrapashraya trishnaya samsara dukkhanudvega alasyam upajayate. Right, that is all on verse 3 for this video. Thank you.